Good morning, folks. Okay, afternoon, whichever. Suppose it's 1:30, almost. How is everybody?
Living as usual.
Are we ready to learn new things? We'll wait a couple minutes to make sure everybody gets in, but so appropriately enough, being that today is May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you. The Baby Yoda stickers arrived.
Weren't they from Wuhan?
Yes, they are. But they have been sitting safely in a shipping facility for, well, I ordered them January 20th. And my understanding, according to the experts, is that coronavirus can survive at most about 4 or 5 days on metal or plastic. So should be safe, but if I catch COVID-19, you'll know.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
No problem. So anyway, how is everyone? Did you have a good weekend? Seeing some nodding heads and some thumbs up. Did you enjoy the 3-day weekend?
It was so long.
So you don't want any more 3-day weekends? No?
No, I want more.
We do get another one, but not till like the 4th week of the sprint, like right near the end, or maybe even the 5th, because we've got Memorial Day in there. So, but it's weeks off. Anyway, we might be able to slide another one in there. There is still that policy about canceling class 1 day a sprint, and I'm all in favor of, bumping it up against a weekend if that is appropriate. All right, we got new things to learn. You excited about learning new things? Okay, I think we got the database thing down. We've done all sorts of fun stuff. Sally had a birthday. Harry made her a werewolf and she killed him for it. Much sadness. Then he turned into a ghost, hopefully, if you got all that working. All right. So, let's see here. Yes, I am wearing a hat today. My hair is getting long enough that it's getting a little scary, so I am covering it. All right. Let's see here. Let me share my screen. And we will get to it. I'm going to move some windows around. You can't see all the windows I'm moving around because some of them are Zoom windows. But trust me, that is what's happening. You can't see. Let's see. Let me open up a chat window. Ooh, wait. Alt-H is the hotkey for the chat. I'll have to remember that. Okay. So here's our node folder that we've been working with. And I don't know how much we're going to get through today. What we don't get through today, we'll jump into tomorrow. And if we don't get it done tomorrow, maybe the next day. And then somewhere after we get all this stuff done, we'll have a new assignment. And it will deal with the culmination of all these cool things that we've learned about. But I'm going to create a folder right now. I'm going to call this, let's see, what am I doing? I'm creating, let's call it interceptors. That sounds like a cool name, doesn't it? We're going to write some interceptors. We're going to write single interceptors. We're going to write global interceptors. Okay. So interceptors, let's go on into there. And I think I want to start a new node project. So I'm going to type CMD. Here's my little command prompt. I think I'm going to adjust the size of my command prompt a little. Okay, new node project. How do I start this out? Somebody help me out here.
npm init.
Ooh, I like it. npm init. And it wants to call in interceptors for some reason. I mean, you know, it might be because we're in the interceptors folder, but version 1.0. Do, 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 do. We good with that package.json? Sure, sounds good. I kind of like it. And I think the only thing we need for this project is Express. So how would I install that?
Node install express.
Close.
npm install. Okay.
There we go. npm install, and you can just do npm I, that works. Express. And it's going to go, yeah, there we go, up in the chat, perfectly written. Okay, so that's installed, added 50 packages from 37 contributors, and audited 126 packages. Okay, let's do something with this. You'll see there's our node modules, our package.json. I'm going to modify this so that my folder is going to be this new interceptors folder. And what do I want to call my file?
Public?
What was that?
Public?
Index.js. Yeah, we're not actually going to use a view engine. So in this, we don't need public. We don't need views.
Okay.
Just going to do something simple with index.js. Then we're going to start off by creating const express equals require express. Const app equals express. And let's see here. Let's just create the basics of a page. Let's say app.get slash, and we'll do a require response. I'm not going to worry about a routes or anything. I'm just keeping it simple. Okay. And if you do that, we don't have a view engine, so we're just going to do a response.send like we did in the beginning. And we'll say, this is the root page. Is that cool? What's the one other thing I need for bare minimum web server? I need one more thing with Express.
Is it an app.listen?
Oh, yeah. Joe's got it. Yeah, all right. So it's an app.listen. Good job. And we'll put on our port 3000. And we'll save that. I'm going to go ahead and use NodeMon. Get that up and running. And sure enough, look, it's running. And if I open up a browser, and that's a big browser, it's taking up part of your screen, and that's not fair. I could do localhost 3000, and sure enough, I have a web server. It's a simple web server. It's not doing much, but it does almost what we need it to understand how single interceptors and global interceptors work. Okay, so global interceptor. Maybe create another app.get slash, give me something. What's our other page going to be about?
Interceptors.
Interceptors. All right. Oh, sorry. It's the day. It's going to be about Star Wars. If it weren't May the 4th, I'd totally go with Interceptors, but it is. All right. So May the 4th be with you, by the way. So we've got our request response, and we'll have a response.send. May the 4th be with you. Okay, that feels better. Okay, so I've got a couple different things, and I could get to that one just by doing Star Wars, and sure enough, that works. Either way. Okay, so we're going to create a global interceptor. I'm going to say const global interceptor equals request response next. You see that next, it means you're probably dealing with an interceptor. I'm going to say console.log global interceptor has run on, and I'm going to put a comma and say rec.path. And then after that, I'm going to say next. Now, global interceptors, if you've set up a global interceptor and you are actually using it, a global interceptor gets run every single time you run a page. You make a request. And so I'm going to actually go ahead and say to use this, I'm going to do an app.use. Have we seen app.use before? We've seen it. Does anyone remember when? People are thinking, they're racking their brains.
Oh, body parser.
Ooh. So let's look back. Let's look at some of our old stuff. Excuse me. So let's see. If I go to my Express Mongo, that certainly has a lot of the stuff that we've done. Let's look at the index here. Oh. We've used it when we set up our public. Set up our static page. So maybe that's setting it up for all of these. Well, let's see, we'll think about that. I'm gonna come back here and I've got my global interceptor set up. And now watch what happens. I need this open too. This is important. I'm gonna, well, here. I don't need much of this, but I would like this. So if I refresh this page, ooh, what happened? The global interceptor ran, didn't it? And it ran when I refreshed that page. What if I went to my Star Wars page? Would that also fire off the global interceptor? Yeah, fires it off for /Star Wars. If I go to either page, every time one of those pages loads, the global interceptor gets run. It's global. It applies to all pages. All of those HTTP method calls. Okay, so that's a global interceptor. Once you set one up, it applies to every single page. And I realize our global interceptor right here isn't very interesting, but it's important to understand about global and single interceptors because some of the things that we're going to be using are going to be global and single interceptors. And it's important to know what the heck they are. So I'm going to write a single interceptor and we'll just call it single interceptor. And again, we have the request, the response, and the next. And let me explain now what the whole next is about. So an interceptor runs once you get the HTTP request, but before any of this send code happens. It gets in the way, it intercepts the call, and it will run. But it's important when writing an interceptor that you then put in this next, that you have to pass in next, and then you have to run this next method at the end. Because otherwise, it'll get hung up in the interceptor, and it will never go through and actually do our response.send or response.render or whatever you're trying to do. Does that make sense? So we can see that next in there. It's a pretty good idea, a pretty good sign that you've got an interceptor that you're dealing with. So I'm going to put another console.log, and I'm going to say single interceptor has run on, and let's go ahead and put our rep.path again because it shows what page it's actually running on, and then we need our next here as well. Now, single interceptors do not run until you tell them to. You have to specifically put them on pages. And the way to do that, I'm not going to put one on the root page, but I'm going to put one on my Star Wars page. And all I have to do is add an additional parameter before we put in our function. And all I need to do is do single interceptor, just like that. Now, Chaz, you made a comment about when we might have seen global interceptors. I think it was you. And you were thinking it was with the body parser. Was that you that said that?
I think that was someone else, but you can ask me anyways.
Okay.
I like to
I
be
apologize.
engaged.
So whoever said that, you were just jumping ahead a little. Have we seen anything where we have put in an extra parameter in between our path and the function? Huh. Have we seen anything before with the body parser?
I don't think so.
What was that?
I don't think so.
Don't think so. So the body parser here, when it's doing its URL encoded parser, is actually a single interceptor where anytime we want to use it, we just add it in, just like we do with the single interceptor. And let's see how this fires off. So I've saved it. And now if I go, let's make sure we can see this. If I refresh this page, it just does the global interceptor. However, if I say /Star Wars, both the global interceptor and the single interceptor fire off. Does that make sense? Kind of cool, huh? All right. So that's
I've got
interceptor.
a question.
I got an answer.
How come you don't have to do the next in that parameter, the bottom parameter?
So we're not putting anything in here. This rec response is not actually part of the single interceptors parameters. Those are up here. And we don't actually have to create parens here. It knows that when we do the single interceptor, it's taking the request, the response, and the next, and it just works.
Okay.
Technically, this request and response are associated with this get, even if the request and response do get automatically passed into the single interceptor. It just has to do with the way they set it up. Makes it easier for us.
Okay.
Could we stick as many of these single interceptors in the call as we wanted?
That's an interesting question. So you're wondering if I were to say single interceptor 2 the second single interceptor, you're wondering if I could then do single interceptor 2 kind of like that. I guess we better find out what it does. Much sadness. Did it work? Yeah. So you can. I don't know how many, I don't know if there's a limit, but yeah, you can do several. Kind of cool? Okay. Any questions about single interceptors, global interceptors? I'm going to get rid of my extra interceptor there.
So
So
you said
then-
a single interceptor is like a body parser, right?
Yeah, if you look at how our URL encoded parser is done, that's how we use single interceptors, right?
Yes.
Because what's happening is it's getting the post information, it's then parsing it. And when it's done parsing it, it would have a next command at the end of it, and it goes ahead and then continues on and runs whatever function we have after.
Okay. I wasn't sure if we can use like body parser as a single interceptor, like what you were using a minute ago.
So we're already doing it. Someone's already written the single interceptor for us with the body parser.
Oh, okay, okay then. I got
We're
it now.
just using it. So
All right.
I'm helping you understand what's going on under the hood because we don't want a bunch of magic. We need to
I
know
got
what's happening.
you. Okay, dokie then.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, that's all I want to talk about as far as single interceptors and global interceptors. They will become a little more important a little bit later as we use more things that use them. And we get into things like authentication. So I'm going to stop this server. So Control C. That's all well and good. But I think I'm going to step up to Node again. How much time do we have? We got 28 minutes. I think we've got time for a cookie. Do we have time for a cookie?
There's always time for a cookie.
There's always time for a cookie. I tend to agree with that assessment.
But would you allow it?
Oh, always. Let's do a cookie. We'll do a cookie today. And then maybe we'll look at authentication some tomorrow. We'll see what we get to. All right. New folder. We'll call it cookies and stuff. Now, we've done some cookies. Did we do some cookies earlier? Or did I leave that alone? Well, I can't remember now.
I'm pretty sure you left it alone because you called cookies evil.
Yes, and cookies are evil. So tell me what a cookie is. And please don't.
If I'm not mistaken, it's a quote unquote footprint left behind so browsers can see where you've been and target ads towards your recent history and stuff.
So you have accurately described why cookies are evil. Let me go into a little more detail as to what they are. So cookies inherently are not evil. It's just how they're used. What a cookie ultimately is it's variables. It's data that is stored by your browser locally on your machine. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So with that in mind, and I think that's kind of cool that it does that, but here's what makes them evil, is that yes, it's data that gets stored on your machine, and it's really just variables. That's all it is. It's essentially like JSON stored on your machine, and it's a relatively small amount. There are limits to how much can be saved in a cookie, relatively small amounts. But the server, as soon as you go to a page, not only can it write those cookies, but it can instantly recall that data and use it. And so that's why it gets used for what could be considered nefarious purposes, because it can take whatever it knows about you and store it in those cookies. And then anytime you go back to that page, it can immediately know all of that information about you, even before you log in or do anything like that. Fair and reasonable? So I'll probably show you in the future at some point how to save and load cookies from the front end. I find doing it on the back end is far more interesting because it shows how the server can instantly have whatever information it's saved there. So let's write something. Now, disclaimer, I thought this was a fantastic demo, so I totally swiped it from the internet. Sorry, but so this is not my original code, and just letting you know that. So we've got cookies and stuff here. And I'm gonna open my folder to cookies and stuff. And I'm gonna type in CMD, which is gonna open up a command prompt for me. And I'm gonna move that over here. Here is my command prompt. And I'm gonna say npm init. And I'm just gonna hit all the defaults. And so there we have it. And I need a few things. npm I express space cookie dash parser. So this will install both express and the cookie parser. Everyone have that command before I hit enter? And boom. Cool. It's installed. That makes me happy. All right. Let's come back here. And we're going to create an index.js. Not going to worry about routes or views or public or any of that stuff. And I'm going to do const express equals require express const cookie parser require. And remember, packages with multiple names are typically, or multiple words in their name, typically get hyphenated. And when you convert them, rather than using a hyphen, you switch it to camel case. That is convention. That and minuses don't work well in variable names because it thinks you're actually trying to subtract a variable from a variable. But anyway, so cookie capital P parser, require cookie hyphen parser. Const app equals express app.use. Cookie parser. This is my passphrase. Doesn't really matter what you put in there. Okay. So what is cookie parser then? Doing an app.use, potentially. Cookie parser itself is acting as a global interceptor, so that's recognized on all your pages. Okay, I'm gonna do slash request response and we'll say if rec.cookies.in here before equals yes, response.send you have been here before. So it says it's looking for a variable in your cookies called been here before. And if that value is yes, then it's going to say you have been here before. Response.cookie been here before. Yes. And we're gonna, oops, put that comma there. We're gonna plug in an object that contains a variable called max age. And we're gonna put a bunch of 9s there. Basically, this says how long to keep the cookie. And what we're saying is keep the cookie a whole long time. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to close my parens. There we go. Let me make this just a touch bigger so we get all that on one line. Excellent. Response.send. This is your first time here. And then let's put in an app.listen. 3000. So what this is doing is when we go to our root page, top level page, it says, hey, if there's a variable that says been here before and it equals yes, then say you have been here before. Otherwise, that means there isn't a variable that says yes. Go ahead and write one that says yes, because now you're here, and then say this is your first time here. So I'm saving that. I'm going to type in nodemon. And then I'm going to go to localhost 3000 and hit enter. And it says, it is my first time here. And I refresh. And it says, you have been here before. Now we all know.
We give it automatic permission just to give it cookies.
Yeah, it's automatically giving cookies.
Oh, okay.
They're evil. They happen automatically. They don't ask you permission. They don't care. Unless you've got something in your browser that you have turned off so it doesn't save cookies, They always know. Sometimes you want cookies.
So say we turn off NodeMon and turn it back on, will it still remember us?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. So, NodeMon has stopped. NodeMon has started. I refresh, it knows I am still there. And let me show you why. We've all deleted cookies before, right? We've done our clear cache, delete cookies. Don't want anyone to know what's going on. I'm gonna move this down, I think. Let's see, move this down to the bottom because it's a little easier to see. I'm gonna come over here to application. And you'll notice down here, it's a little place I can open up that says cookies. And I open that up and http:// localhost 3000, I'm gonna click on that. Ooh, been here before. The value is yes. You guys see that? And if I want to, I can select this and I can just delete it. Boom, it's gone. And if I refresh now, this is my first time here. But notice it immediately wrote that cookie again. So I can delete my cookies. I refresh, it still thinks it's my first time here, but it wrote it back again. If I refresh now, you have been here before.
It expires in 2023.
Yep, because I put all those 9s there. Kind of cool, huh? All right. Now, it seems kind of silly to have to go here to delete my cookies. What if I want to delete it from the server? I could do that. Let's go ahead and do a app.get clear. If you go to /clear, we'll have a request, a response, and I could say response, clear cookie, and put in the name of the cookie. In here before. And then we'll do a response redirect, which will take us back to the first page. Now this is going to be kind of funny. Because what happens when you redirect back to the first page? Any ideas? Dead silence from the crowd.
The cookie gets set again.
Yes, the cookie gets set again. So I could sit there now and I could say /clear, and it eliminated it and brought me back to my first page, and it says this is your first time here, but it's been set again. Yes, Joe, the timer is in milliseconds. That's why I put so many there. Okay. Kind of cool.
Yep.
Y'all feel one with the cookie? Come to the website. We actually do have cookies. They're not really the sort that anyone wants, but we do have them. So with that in mind, you guys think you could modify this little bit of cookie code? So instead of just determining whether or not you have been here, it can tell you how many times you've been to the page and allow clear to reset that. I see we have good 10 minutes. Want to give it a shot? You guys are like, no. I don't care. Make it happen. I have faith in you. You guys can do this. Show me you get the cookie thing. I actually need another window here.
I got it to work, but for some reason it's only printing on my command prompt and not my actual page.
Are you console logging it, or are you response.sending it?
I'm console.logging it.
That would be why.
Oh, I thought you were, okay.
You got to response.send it if you want it on your page. I have an article for you that I want you to read for tomorrow. It's kind of long. I'm sorry. Well, hang on. Let's see. Maybe I don't need you to read all of it. No, you probably should. It's good information. Hopefully it'll be interesting for you. It's all about salting and hashing passwords. And why. But it will help you understand what we're doing tomorrow. Anyone having this working? Yes, no, maybe?
For some reason I can't get it to print, but I think I got it to work besides that part.
Okay. I'll let you play with that for the night. Well, we still got 7 minutes. Let's see. See what you can do. You want to try walking me through it, Chaz?
I just added 2 lines of code.
Okay.
I guess 3.
There isn't a whole lot that you need to do. If you don't want to mess with your been here before stuff, you could just add a new variable.
Do you want me to tell you how I did it then?
Sure.
All right, well, I just made a let amount visited equals 0 at the top.
Okay, so visited equals 0. Cool. Now what?
And then under app.get, the first one, I put amount visited plus plus, right where this bracket begins, the curly brace.
Okay, so
Yeah, like right there.
visited plus plus, like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then under where you're doing your first res.send, you have been here before. I put right under that res.send amount of times you've been here. And then in curly braces, amount visited.
So wait, like right here?
No, under the first one. You have been here before.
Oh. So you have been here. I could do this. I could change it to backticks. You have been here, $, curly braces. Would that work? Okay. Is that all I need to do?
Thought so.
Well, let's see. Let me refresh.
But mine doesn't print though.
So, but watch what happens here. If I stop node and I start it back up, it starts over because we're not actually saving anything in the cookie.
I guess that's true.
So we probably need to add to our cookie. And so visited, maybe make that equal to 0. And instead of using our visited plus plus, maybe each time we visit, we need to update our cookie, huh? So I could say, instead of using visited, I could use rec cookies visited. Does that work? And I need to increase my cookie value. So maybe I need something like this up here so that it resaves our visited with our visited value. We've got undefined times. Why do we have undefined times, do you think? There's visited. My value is 1, and it's going up. Oh, never been there before, so it doesn't exist. Yep, so the first time it didn't exist. So you probably would want to write a check in there to see if it's undefined and maybe set that to 0. But it's going up now. And even saving for the next one.
What would happen if we erase our cookies? Would that also erase the times we've been there?
Yes, it would. I can just erase this one cookie because I've got 2 here. So I could even just get rid of this one cookie. And now it's undefined again. Now, the reason that this is remembering is because we didn't stop our server. I would have to reset it back to 0. And a good place to do that might be in our clear statement. So we could on our clear change this so that we just set the value back to 0. So if I go now, clear it, and then refresh. Make sense? So we'd want to put a little bit of error checking in there to make sure that if it's undefined that we do something with that. And probably reset our visited at the appropriate times. But that gives you some idea. So there are a few things that you can do to tweak it. Feel free to go through and do that, but I am over time. Anyone have any questions about anything we've covered today? Oh, do participation, please.
Are we going to learn any more about the interceptors later on?
Yeah, we're going to use them more, actually.
Oh, okay.
So in order to understand how authentication works, you need to understand the idea behind interceptors, because we're going to check authentication on pages that have single interceptors for checking that. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Everyone do participation?
Yes.
Okay, it wasn't all that funny, but at least it was topical.
It could have been executed better, but it was good enough.
All right. So I did put that announcement out. Please do read that article on CrackStation to learn more about salting and hashing passwords. CrackStation deals with information on how people, on how to protect yourself against cracking. It has nothing to do with any other crack whatsoever. So go do that, and I will see you all tomorrow.
You have a wonderful day, Professor Brady.
You too.
As well as everyone else. Be safe out there.
Excellent.